What's up, everybody? In today's video, I wanted to read to you guys a little bit out of my book that I'm writing. I wanted to give you guys a sneak preview into my book, The Philosophy of Psychology in Truth, just to give you guys a little taste of what's coming in the near future. Okay, so let's get my little chat bubble out of the way here and continue through whatever possibility of an interruption might possibly take place. The foreword of the book states, "My psychologist and my therapist both told me that I should be a college professor, and that I could probably outsmart everyone in their whole building. From what I noticed, they all have PhDs and even doctorate degrees. So she also said that I have an exponentially higher IQ than average people in society. Now, I'm not being conceited or big-headed. I'm just appreciative to have a professional level opinion on the matter, since a lot of people in society today try to belittle others when they are not comfortable with themselves, unfortunately. Thanks for anyone who actually takes the time to read this. It means the world to me, and I hope that everything I share with you in this book will clarify the truths of life, so much so that you will never have to be a victim of manipulative ever again." Preface. As the author, I was inspired to write this book out of having been myself manipulated and taken advantage of my entire life, on levels so extensively in depth that it would seem that I have lived under an almost conspiracy of secret dictators who live their strategies outside of the law and outside the standards of socially acceptable behavior in private spaces and residential places of living, as well as outside of the virtues of compassionate morality or moral justice. Having been fed up with being taken advantage of on personal, intimate, and even financial levels, I grew ever the more passionate about my attention and attentiveness to meticulous observation of psychological and human behavior. After growing such an interest, I made it my key focus to assert a major portion of my time and energy into the analysis of data pertaining to the suspicious and directly malicious acts of manipulation and forms of subtle oppressions, just as well as the figurative back doors that manipulators try to use in order to sneakily get away with getting their fix. I have reached a certain point in my life as a young man that I have come to the realization that if there is honestly any hope for future generations, or even for the rest of society to regain access back to their basic rights, their basic origin of rights, then we must approach our strategy of production and improvement with integrity. Thank you. Introduction. I want to start off this book by saying that by reading this book, you are already taking the necessary steps to ensure that you are informed about the tactics and dangers that derive from manipulative people. Within the contents of this book, there will be no index or table of contents, but rather I will refer to any necessary pertaining contents within the introduction itself. In this book, I will make it apparent all the methods and tactics used by manipulative people, and we will discover We will discover and present everyone with a strategy and countermeasures to take in order to take under the events where they are either being manipulated or just as well in danger of being manipulated. I will state that inevitably, in accordance with human behavior and psychology, there is almost always going to be a certain amount of people who lie, cheat, and manipulate in order to get their way. However, the purpose of this book is not intended to stop people from lying, cheating, or being manipulative because of the existence of free will. It is intended solely and wholeheartedly to clarify and distinguish manipulative people from honest people, with the goal that truly honest people need no longer be oppressed, silenced, or taken advantage of by manipulative people, by making manipulation itself so unbelievably visible that it becomes the fault of the honest individuals when they allow themselves to be manipulated. We will discuss the many types of manipulation people, the many types of manipulative people, and the many different ways that they can infiltrate and dictate your life if you allow them to. Different types of manipulative relationships and even forms of indirect manipulation, such as on close friends, family members, and reputable professionals in society. Chapter 1. Clarifying Intentions. The typical signs of a biased or subtly manipulative person is where they give you the option to make your own choice in a conversation or given event, but have preset expectations of what they want your answer to be, leaving the impression that they don't care either way by giving you certain subtle social cues through their own indirect answers and suggested body language. Such body language is represented as over-assertive eye contact with wide eyelids and a lifted brow, which manipulative people have come to learn as a commonly used tic for people who are telling the truth in accordance with psychology. Manipulative people have practiced themselves to become nearly perfect at misrepresenting their pattern of speech, as well as their body language. Amongst a few other patterns of behavior of manipulative people are as follows: taking advantage of your inability to pay attention for long periods of time, avoiding the original topic of a conversation and distracting you with other topics that are relevantly similar in nature, the assertion that you are keenly aware of their confidence and appearing overconfident, using natural disturbances, i.e., spilling a glass of water on purpose, etc. Avoidance of answering questions directly, apologizing, waiting for the situation to settle down, and then doing it again. Telling you one thing with words, and then doing the exact opposite with actions. Using your materialistic desires as a form of distraction. Constantly asking if you are okay when they could care less, i.e., or in example, asking if you're okay and then instantaneously switch to talking about themselves or placing the attention elsewhere before you can give them a valid response. Being extremely rude and trying to pass it off like they were just kidding, but then when they are actually kidding and you're aware that it's a joke, it feels less offensive, verifying the indifference. A process or a tactic called gaslighting, which is to make you question your own sanity. Guilt tripping, constantly demanding that you prove yourself, yet expecting you to just trust their decisions. Subjugation and domination, using emotionally sensitive topics in order to get pity, such as the passing of loved ones. Using passive aggressiveness as a form of communication. Playing the role of a victim and using using your sensitive and caring nature to get their way. And being incredibly generous and giving you everything that you could need or ask for, so that every kind deed can be kept track of like a debt and brought up at a later date in order to guilt trip you. Emotional blackmail, sabotage in all forms, acting out in physical violence when they don't get their way, verbal abuse and name-calling, intimidation, fear and threats of hostility, ignoring that you even exist. They constantly interrupt or talk over you, and no matter what you say, they are already addressed as being right. You analyze their patterns of behavior, and a larger portion of your interactions and communication is time spent with them telling you what to do, talking about themselves. Recycled small talk that is used in the same exact way in the same exact sentences every day, so that they don't slip up and tell you something they were hiding, such as intentions. Fear. They will try to make you afraid to speak out against them, and sometimes even to speak at all. When you say something particular and elaborate, they will take your words out of context, rearranging them to suit their favor. They are always putting you down and telling you that your aims are impossible. They don't want you to know your own capabilities or potential. They force you to agree with everything that they say. They want intensely for you to see them as your superiors and will do whatever it takes to get you to see them as better and smarter than you in every way. They overreact to commonplace problems and somehow try to involve you in it, even if you have had no part in it whatsoever. They almost always come off as threatening, except for those manipulative individuals who choose to be more passive-aggressive. They will act one way in front of you in a private setting, such as angry, manipulative, snide, or grumpy, and another way entirely in front of other people, such as civil, respectful, kind, or trustworthy, in order to leave what their minds perceive as a good impression for strangers and professionals. They criticize and complain about everything that you do, no matter what it is, even if you are merely sleeping or resting, regardless of their own actions, even when they do, and most especially when they do, the same exact thing as you. They will pass off everyday responsibilities onto you and expect for you to fill their share of said responsibilities, even after you have completed yours. A manipulative person avoids responsibilities by placing the blame of their own actions and conduct on someone else. Personalized attacks on things or people that you care for most. They will use criticism to belittle you. Bullying. Manipulative people do not understand the concept of boundaries. They will crowd your space physically, emotionally, psychologically, or even spiritually. They prey on our sensibilities, emotional sensitivities, and especially our conscientiousness, which is our consciousness in simpler terms. They give off an entrancing and almost too good to be true first impression and then slowly regress back into their manipulative state of living. They use intrigue, rivalry, and jealousy as tools for creating disharmony and confusion. They aim to change you in every way to become just as miserable as they must be, whether it be outwardly appearance or internal virtues. They will always be a sneaky and sly people who will lie, cheat, and steal, and do practically anything from their obsession for controlling other people by any means necessary. By reading this book, you can educate yourself to all of the twisted schemes of manipulative people and see the truth and clarity for what it is, always has been, and always will be. If I have it my way, none will ever have to be manipulated ever again. The choice is ultimately left up to you, the reader. Yeah.
We'll probably have Dawson every day next week.